The Alaska Highway is more than a road, it's Alaska's lifeline to the rest of the U.S. In July 2025, a U.S. Canada trade dispute threatens to sever this vital artery, as Ottawa proposes steep new tolls on the Canadian stretch. The move sparks outrage in Washington and panic in Alaska, where families and businesses fear skyrocketing prices and empty shelves. Former President Trump's fiery rhetoric amplifies the crisis, turning a symbol of friendship into a flashpoint. The highway's vulnerability exposes how quickly diplomatic tensions can disrupt daily life. As the standoff deepens, the question looms: what happens when a friendly border becomes a barrier? The Alaska Highway was born out of World War II urgency, a time when the world was engulfed in conflict and the need for strategic military routes was paramount. This highway was not just a road, it was a lifeline, a crucial artery for defense and logistics. Built in 1942 by U.S. and Canadian forces, it was a monumental effort to defend North America from potential threats. The collaboration between these two nations was unprecedented, showcasing a unity of purpose and a shared vision for security. More than 10,000 soldiers and 16,000 civilians carved a 500-mile road through brutal wilderness in under 9 months, a feat of alliance and necessity. This massive undertaking required not only manpower but also ingenuity and determination, as they battled harsh weather and rugged terrain. After the war, the highway became a symbol of partnership, trade, and adventure, linking communities and economies. It transformed from a military necessity into a vital commercial route, fostering economic growth and cultural exchange. For decades, it stood as a testament to the world's longest undefended border, a beacon of peace and cooperation. The highway was more than just a road, it was a bridge between two nations, a symbol of trust and mutual respect. Today that legacy is threatened, as the very road built for unity becomes a pawn in a political standoff. The once harmonious relationship is now strained, with political tensions casting a shadow over the highway's storied past. The spirit of cooperation that built the highway is overshadowed by transactional politics. Diplomatic relations are tested, and the highway, once a symbol of unity, now finds itself at the center of geopolitical disputes. Geography, once conquered together, is now being weaponized. The natural barriers that were once overcome through collaboration are now points of contention, as political agendas threaten to unravel the legacy of cooperation that the Alaska Highway represents. The crisis began with U.S. tariffs on Canadian goods, lumber, aluminum, agriculture, meant to protect American industries. Canada retaliated, not with tariffs, but with a proposed corridor access toll on the Alaska Highway, targeting a uniquely vulnerable U.S. state. The toll would add thousands to each truckload, threatening Alaska's supply chain. In Washington, bipartisan outrage erupts, but Trump's attacks dominate, blaming the administration for weakness and betrayal. The dispute escalates from trade spat to a direct challenge to American sovereignty. The highway, once a symbol of open borders, is now the battleground. The stakes: Alaska's economic survival and the future of U.S. Canada relations. For Alaskans, the impact of new tolls goes far beyond political debates or policy discussions. It hits home in the most direct way possible, affecting the cost of daily life. These tolls mean higher prices for food, fuel, and medicine, essentials that every family depends on. In a state where the cost of living is already among the highest in the nation, even a small increase can have a ripple effect, straining household budgets and making it harder for families to make ends meet. Imagine walking into your local grocery store and seeing a $3 head of lettuce suddenly jump to $5 overnight. For many Alaskans, this isn't just a hypothetical, it's a real possibility. Fresh produce, already expensive due to long shipping routes, could become a luxury item for some families. The same goes for milk, eggs, and other staples, as transportation costs are passed directly to consumers. Small businesses, the backbone of Alaskan communities, will be hit especially hard. Many already operate on razor-thin margins, and now they face thousands of dollars in extra shipping costs each month. These added expenses could force some to raise prices, cut staff, or even close their doors for good, threatening local jobs and the unique character of Alaskan towns. Hardware stores, gas stations, and even hospitals are at risk. Shortages and closures could become more common as supply chains are disrupted. Imagine walking into a hardware store and finding empty shelves, or seeing a gas station closed because deliveries couldn't get through. Hospitals too may struggle to keep vital supplies in stock, putting patient care at risk. Alaska's just-in-time delivery system leaves little room for error. Any disruption, whether from weather, mechanical issues or now, increased costs, could mean empty shelves at the grocery store and stalled construction projects. The state's remote location makes it uniquely vulnerable to these kinds of shocks. The tolls threaten not just wallets, but the social fabric of Alaskan communities. As prices rise and uncertainty grows, anxiety and resentment can take hold. Neighbors gather at community meetings or coffee shops, sharing their worries about how they'll afford groceries or keep their businesses afloat. Families sit at kitchen tables, poring over bills and wondering what they'll have to cut next. The Alaska Highway isn't just a road, it's a lifeline. It connects families separated by vast distances, provides access to healthcare, and opens doors to opportunity. For many, it's the only way to reach loved ones, medical appointments, or job sites. Any threat to this vital artery is felt deeply and personally. In remote towns and villages, the prospect of being cut off is terrifyingly real. Residents watch the news with growing concern, knowing that even a brief disruption could leave them isolated, without access to food, medicine, or emergency services. Ultimately, it's everyday Alaskans who will bear the true cost, in their wallets, in their daily routines, and in their peace of mind. The tolls are more than just a line item on a budget, they're a source of stress, worry, and uncertainty for families across the state. The shockwaves won't stop at Alaska's border. Businesses in Washington and Montana, built around Alaskan trade, face layoffs and losses. Canadian communities along the highway, reliant on American tourists and truckers, risk economic collapse. The tolls could poison future U.S. Canada cooperation, scaring off investors and disrupting cross-border supply chains. Tourism, a major industry for both nations, could plummet as travelers avoid the hostile corridor. In the end, both countries lose, economically and diplomatically. On the ground in Alaska, a wave of anger, fear, and deep betrayal is sweeping through communities both large and small. Residents who have long prided themselves on resilience and self-reliance now find themselves facing a crisis that feels both overwhelming and unfair. The uncertainty is palpable, and the sense of being caught in the crossfire of decisions made far away is fueling frustration at every level of society. Sarah Jenkins, a mother in Fairbanks, voices what many are feeling. We already pay more for everything. Now it's about affording groceries and medicine. We're pawns in a fight we didn't start. For families like hers, every trip to the store is a reminder of how vulnerable they are to disruptions. Prices for basic necessities, milk, bread, fuel, are climbing higher by the week, and shelves in some rural stores are already running low. The anxiety is especially sharp for parents and elders, who worry about how they'll provide for their loved ones if things get worse. Anchorage's mayor has issued a stark warning. Choking off the highway would trigger recession, business closures, and families leaving the state. The threat isn't just economic, it's personal. Small businesses already struggling to recover from past hardships now face the prospect of shutting their doors for good. Some families are making the difficult decision to pack up and leave, uncertain if they can weather another storm. John Peterson, who owns a local trucking company, shares his frustration. My grandfather helped build this road. Now, a single trip could cost $5,000 more. This will kill small businesses. For truckers and logistics workers, the highway is a lifeline. Every added expense threatens not just their livelihoods, but the entire supply chain that keeps Alaska running. The ripple effects are felt in every corner of the state, from urban centers to the most remote outposts. Even in Alaska's most isolated villages, the fear is real. Residents worry about losing access to hospitals, medicine, and vital supplies. For many, the highway is the only reliable link to the outside world. If that connection is severed, the consequences could be dire, especially for those who rely on regular shipments of food, fuel, and medical equipment. A respected tribal elder puts it simply, "The highway brings us what we need to survive. Using it as a weapon dishonors its spirit." For Alaska's indigenous communities, the road is more than just infrastructure. It's a symbol of connection, survival, and respect for the land and its people. The idea of it being used as leverage in a political struggle is deeply painful. Across Alaska, the sense of isolation is growing. Towns that already felt remote now seem even farther away from help and hope. The vast distances and harsh weather only add to the feeling of being cut off, both physically and emotionally, from the rest of the country. The human cost is mounting, far beyond the headlines. Behind every statistic is a family making tough choices, a business owner facing closure, a community wondering what tomorrow will bring. For Alaskans, this crisis is not just about politics or policy, it's about survival, dignity, and the hope that their voices will finally be heard. The Alaska Highway dispute sets a dangerous global precedent. Dr. Evelyn Reed, geopolitical analyst, warns, using geography as a weapon opens a Pandora's box. It threatens the principle of transit freedom for landlocked regions. If Canada can choke off Alaska, what stops other nations from blocking airspace, rivers, or ports in future disputes? This tactic could trigger blockades and economic strangulation worldwide. The trust that keeps global supply chains running is at risk. If the U.S.-Canada border can become a tool for economic warfare, no border is safe. The world is watching, and the stakes are bigger than North America. For Canada, the toll is a calculated response to years of U.S. protectionism. Ottawa sees Alaska's dependency as leverage Washington can't ignore. A Canadian official says, "We didn't start this fight, but we'll finish it. The toll is targeted, proportional, and within our rights." The move reflects a new, assertive Canadian identity, no longer the quiet neighbor. But it's risky. Critics warn it could backfire, hurting Canadian communities and damaging the vital U.S. relationship. Diplomacy, not brinkmanship, is the safer path. Canada is betting the pressure will force talks, but if it fails, both nations lose. The Alaska Highway, once a symbol of unity, now divides two allies. The cycle of retaliation and rhetoric is unsustainable. Both nations risk economic pain and lost trust. De-escalation is urgent. The U.S. should reconsider tariffs, Canada should shelve the tolls, and both must return to the table. Diplomats, not politicians or pundits, must lead, seeking solutions that protect both economies. This is about people, Alaskan families, Canadian business owners, and the shared prosperity of both nations. The highway's legacy should be connection, not conflict. Cooperation is not optional, it's a necessity dictated by geography and history. The road ahead demands wisdom, compromise, and a renewed commitment to partnership.